Contemporary science can be used to gain further knowledge of the anatomy of all living forms, but to what extent is too far to gaining this said knowledge? Science can be helpful to people, but can also cause controversy in society.
Dolly the Sheep was the first domestic sheep to be cloned using somatic cells. Dolly started out in a test tube, and she was born on July 5, 1996. She lived for 6 years and was able to reproduce offspring naturally. She was conceived in Rawson Institute near Edinburgh, Scotland, and the project was led by British biologist Ian Wilmot. You might ask how Dolly was created. She was cloned from a mammary gland, which is basically a breast, and it was taken from an adult fin dorset iwi. She was created using electrical pulses to fuse mammary cells with unfertilized egg cells with the nucleus removed. Dolly's breakthrough led to ideas of cloning other animals, but scientists since then have never gotten the same results that Wilmot has got. Dolly's announcement in February 1997 marked a milestone from science. It dispelled the assumptions that adult mammals could not be cloned. This breakthrough of cloning led to many debates around the world as possible misuse of this type of cloning could be used in the future. Dolly the sheep died in 2003 due to progressive lung disease, arthritis, and a common lung tumor for sheep raised indoors.
Why were people against the creation of Dolly the Sheep? People assumed that somatic cells nuclear transfer could be used to clone human babies. Human cloning was banned in certain countries. If these were attempted, it would lead to hefty jail time. Mick says if people were to attempt this cloning, they were sick people.
Dolly the sheep was taking this and turning it into this. What is the Visible Human Project? It's a creation of a three-dimensional representation of the male and female body. The long-term goal of the project was to show the system's knowledge and structure of male and female structure. When was this established? It was established in 1989.
Joseph Paul Jernigan was the first male donor to donate his body to the project on August 5, 1993. The visual was released in November of 1999, and the female donor was anonymous. Her husband requested that her body be used for the project. This is controversial because the female donor did not give her consent, and her husband did for her. People could be against this because she may have never wanted to donate her body for the use of science. Another controversial topic is that a convicted murderer's body is used. Would people be against this? Personally, we disagree because we think either way we learn more about the body, and that's the whole purpose of the project.
What is the goal of the Human Genome Project? The goal of the project is to provide a complete and accurate sequence of the 3 billion DNA base pairs.
Genome is made up of DNA, and they have their own instructions for making us. DNA is a long molecule that contains your unique genetic code. The work of the Human Genome Project has allowed researchers to begin to essentially understand the blueprint of who we are as people. As researchers gain a better understanding of our genome, people fear this knowledge may be used to create a super race by choosing the genes that our children have. As a result, people believe that those who are poor will suffer because they don't have the money to pay for genetic advancements. To prevent this discrimination or abuse that may be caused due to the genetic treatments, we must implement policies on genetic research that can alter the population. Genetic treatment can be used in many ways to treat, cure, and even prevent diseases. For example, say I'm poor and Tutin is rich. My kids could have possible defects while Tutins could have more of like superior traits. Genetic treatment can be used in many ways to treat, cure, or even prevent diseases, but there is always the concern that it will not be only limited to the health of the public. Do scientists have a moral responsibility for the outcomes or usage of their experiments? Scientists have responsibilities that come with being a scientist. These include the burdens of governance in the scientific community. The role that scientists play does not shield them from the general moral responsibilities that we all share. The importance of a scientist are the responsibility not to be reckless or negligent, not to ignore or fail to reflect on the risks inherent in scientific research for society at large. If scientists choose to neglect their responsibilities, they must be taken up by others, thus threatening the scientific anatomy. What can be said about the limits of scientific discovery? The scientific method is a powerful tool, but it has its limitations. Science cannot prove or refute the existence of God, and scientists are incapable of writing value judgments. Like, for example, they can't say global warming is bad. It has its moral limits along the lines of like how far can you go until it's shunned upon by the public.
Contemporary science is full of controversial topics such as cloning of babies, superhumans, and the use of a convicted murderer, along with the woman who gave no consent to use her body for science.
But along with the negatives that come with contemporary science, we learned about how the human body functions and how to prevent diseases and make cures for them.
Contemporary science has also given us ways to prevent diseases and invent cures, ultimately allowing us to have a greater understanding of the human body. With great power comes great responsibility, is basically the message.